All right. In today's session, we'll focus mainly on, you know, how to connect to a variety of different data sets. Okay. So we'll try to connect with some of the, Excel or CSV data set. I'll connect to a database that I have on my machine. I'll also connect to simple data from the website. Okay. So let's try connecting to that. We'll understand how to connect to these different details and how to go about bringing the data into Power BI, because all of these steps, though the data sources are all different, they are all going to follow the same process. Okay, the way you connect to the data set is all the same. So we'll just focus on the loading part alone today, and we'll go through some of the details. And as we progress, let's see if I can go and cover a few more things today or not. And as we progress, we'll go and understand how to transform the data, work with the data, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's try doing that now. The very first thing that you want to do whenever you work with your data visualization tool is that you need to go ahead and first of all understand your data. Okay, if you're not understanding your data, then it's going to be very difficult. So let's go ahead and quickly understand our data set. This is one of the data set that I'll use most of the time. The orders table, returns table, and people table. These are the three tables that we will go through a lot. And this is available online. If you search for something called as sample superstore, you will get it. There are different variations and versions of it. I probably have an old file. I have been downloading and keeping this for a long time. So we will just understand what is our data set here, how to go about, understanding the data. That is very, very important. And if you don't understand your data, you won't be able to bring those insights or visualizations out. So I think that's important for you to note. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The way you want to understand this is it's a sample data. All right. So it's a sample data. It's not a data from any database or a real-time scenario, but this is a rich data set. This is a very good data set. This is a very rich data set, and you can perform a lot of activities with just this one file. Okay. I can almost cover the entire course with this, but we will go ahead and cover and work with different data sets and databases and files. So we will do that way. But let's go ahead and understand our data set, because this is predominantly the data set that I'll be working on, and we'll go over this. Okay. And this particular store is called as a superstore. Okay. Just like any store has a name, this store is called as a superstore. So this is a sample data for a superstore's data set, and that's what we have here. Now, I would like to compare this with an Amazon's data set. Okay. So I would like to go and compare this with Amazon's data set, because comparing the data set with some details becomes easier to understand your data. All right. Now, it is important that you understand your data, you have it in your fingertips, because otherwise you won't be able to bring out the details you want. You won't know what to do with your data. If your data is completely, something that you don't understand, you will not be able to bring out those charts, graphs, and visualizations. Okay, it's something that I can, say for every single data source or every single, type of tools that you're working with. Let's say if it is an ETL tool, if you're working from taking the data from one source to another destination, if you're doing a flow, ETL flow, and you still have to understand your data, you still have to know what are the columns that you're bringing in, what are the transformations that you have to do. You have to have a thorough understanding of your data. Okay, so this is pretty much common to every single thing that you do with your data set, but let's go ahead and understand this data set by comparing it with something that you know. And like I said, we are going to compare this with an Amazon's data set. Okay. Now look at this Amazon's data set from, I would say from a customer's perspective. You don't have to understand this data set from a business standpoint. Within Amazon, there can be n number of tables. There can be n number of columns within each table. Different things may be stored in different ways, different places. You don't have to understand all that from being inside the business, site. I want you to understand all of this from a customer standpoint. Okay. Let's say I'm a customer, I'm purchasing something from Amazon. What is the simplest flow that I can, come up with? So I open the app or a website for Amazon or Flipkart or any other e-commerce website, you know, I go into that particular website. I'm searching for a product that I want to buy. I'll go and buy that. I'll add it to the cart. It can have many different products, and I can check it out. Now that goes to Amazon. They will go ahead and package it. They'll go ahead and ship it, and they'll deliver it for me. Yes or no? So what we have to do is you will have to go ahead and just look at it from that perspective. That's more than enough for us to understand. And everything around this is how this business works. So that is how we want to go ahead and find this. All right. So when I place an order as a customer, when I just go ahead and purchase something, that's an order getting placed for my for Amazon. Yes or no? That's what we have. Yeah. So that's something that you want to go ahead and understand. So it's an order coming in for the Amazon's business. The order was placed on certain date. The order was shipped on certain date. So these are the details that I'm capturing. And there's going to be a difference. There's going to be a small, few days of delay from the order received date to the order ship date. Yes, that's how things are going to be. There is also different shipping modes available. For example, the standard class, the prime delivery in Amazon, yes or no? So some prime deliveries are available, 1 day delivery, 2 day delivery. Similarly, for this superstore, what we have is we have a lot of different classes of delivery, first class delivery, same day delivery, second class delivery, standard class, and all of that. So you just have to compare it with the data that you understand, and things become a lot clearer, a lot easier to go and understand. And if someone is asking you from, let's say Amazon, they are asking you for last few years of profit trend. So you'll just have to go look for a date column and go look for a profit column. If it is there in your data set, go look for the profit column. Just kind of, make use of these two columns and come up with a profit trend for the last few years, whatever they're asking. Yes. So that's how you want to go and do it. They want segment wise sales. So there is a column called a segment. Your products can be segmented into different things, and you go with the sales column on the right hand side if you have that. Yes. So of course you will have it because it's a sales data set, and you can go and combine these two tables together, sorry, these two columns together, and you can come up with those details. So that's what I'm talking about. If you relate it with something that you do, you'll be easily understanding your data. Okay. Let's say you're talking about an insurance domain, insurance data set. You're inside a client's environment. It's all insurance based data. You don't have to really understand the every single column that you have. Am I not audible? Is my voice too low? I don't know. Is it for everyone or is it for just few people? I think the audio is good because I'm using a good, nice microphone, but let's see. It's clear. Okay. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. Huh? Just 1 minute. I'm changing the microphone here. Okay, how is it now? Is it better? Yeah. So I think just switch to a different microphone and this should be good enough now. Yes, good. All right. Now that's what I'm talking about. So if you can compare it with some data that you know, then it's good. And I was talking about the insurance domain. So you don't have to really understand the insurance, jargons. And there can be a lot of things inside an insurance database or a table. You don't have to understand all of that. The only thing that you have to know is how things are being worked out in an insurance company. When someone comes in to purchase an insurance, a customer comes in, how are things, kind of delivered? What are the different terminologies around this particular detail? That's what you have to go and understand. So, for example, what is sum insured? Who's the insurer? Who's the insurance company? Who's the nominee? Do you know all of this? These are very familiar terms. Yes. When is the policy start date, end date? This is what you'll have in your data set. So you don't have to understand a lot of things. What I'm saying is if you have purchased a policy from a customer's standpoint, that's more than enough. You should be able to go ahead and use that or work with that particular detail. So try to relate it with whatever you have, and that should be good enough. Okay. All right. Moving on. Look at this. You should be able to go ahead and understand who's the customer purchasing the product. This is what we have. The segmentation, the products are being segmented into different things. For example, the consumer product, corporate product, and home office product. Okay, we have that. We have geography related details here. I'm just going to go quickly over this. Geography related details. Probably where is this customer from? Yes, where is this guy ordering from? So that's what we have. And all of these are geography related information related to your customer. Okay. We will never have the source from where, yes, it may be from Amazon side on from which hub is it getting delivered, but we want to know this from a customer standpoint. So we're just storing customers detail, let's say, for example. Okay, we have product ID and product name, and this is the main thing that we go and work with in our data set. So we'll see how to go and get that, and we want to go and understand from a high level perspective what are the different categories and subcategories of the product that we are selling. Okay, very important. Again, you need to understand the data. That's the whole point here. And then we have some measures of interest. So these are something that you can measure. Let's say you're talking about profit as a column. And let's say I should have given you this example. If not, let's go and do this. Let's say I'm just denoting the profit in a big bold number. And I say, hey, this particular data is telling me that we are making 186 negative profit. Okay. So we are just saying this is the profit that we are making in a big bold fashion. Now, as soon as the user looks at this particular detail, he's attracted to this because it's in red. Let's say, for example, it's a negative number and we are making a huge loss already to some extent. Yes. So we want to understand, or the user wants to understand, these guys are decision makers. If you remember the first session, the previous session, I told you the whole point of business intelligence is to go and do the decision making easier for our users. So when this guy is looking at the profit, which is a negative value, and like I said, this is a measurable value. This is one of the KPIs, key performance indicators that you can showcase in your data. And when you go and showcase all of that in this fashion, what happens? It is really something that is kind of catching the attention of the user, a big bold number, let's say, for example. And that's going to be really something the user will be kind of looking into, taking actions on that. And that's why we call some of these columns, some of these different details as measures of interest. Okay, in our data world, that's what it is called as. But we'll go and define a couple of things and you'll understand a few things here. But I'm just going through the data set so that you're aware how this is to be taken into and worked with inside Power BI. That's what we are talking about. Good. Now let's go to the other sheet. And of course, with, we have three sheets here. And of course, with an e-commerce website, there is always going to be some returns coming in. Yes or no? So Amazon, though it's one of the biggest companies, one of the biggest e-commerce giant in the world, it is not perfect. Yes or no? I have bought a lot of products from Amazon and I've also gone ahead and returned a lot of products in Amazon from Amazon. Yes. So I mean, returns can happen because not that Amazon is not good at, sending you the right details. The packages can go and get damaged during the shipping process. It can get delayed. And I say, okay, I'm not available. I won't be able to take it up. I cancel it. I return that particular order. I no longer require that particular product. Probably I just, will go and turn it off, turn it back, and all of that can happen. So things can be for various reasons that the returns can happen. And what this particular table or this particular sheet is doing here is it is capturing all the returned orders. Now remember one thing, you have to understand the data. So this is the understanding part. We will have a lot of products that, let's say I'm running a store like Amazon and I have a lot of products that I'm selling. Let's say these are all the products that I'm selling. Not every product is going to be returned. Yes. Do you think if I get back every single product that I am kind of getting the orders for, then I'm not doing a business. I'm not profitable at all. Okay. There can be very few products. Let's say this one order got returned. This one order got returned. Yes. Let's say I sell millions and millions of products. Hardly 100, 200 of them come back for some reason. Yes. So this particular table is going to store only the orders that got returned. And there is a yes flag for the returned here. And there is no other orders that is being captured here. So if you have this, we will have to go through this particular detail. Okay. So this is what we have. You're getting my point? So not all the orders are being stored. The, you know,
returned product is only being captured here. And if you look at the entire data set, let's just go through this details. We have about 10,000 odd values. Okay. So 10,000 odd rows. And out of that, we only have about 300 rows coming in, 300 rows getting returned. Yes, 300 products roughly, and leave out the header around 296 or so is what is getting returned. Just roughly 300 rows. So that is what we are doing. And if you look at the returned flag, there is no part here. So we are not capturing all the orders and saying, hey, this got returned, this got not returned, and all of that. We're just storing only the return details here. So this is how you want to understand your data. Yes. What is there in your table? What columns are there? Are you able to go ahead and understand these information? This is very important. If you're not well versed with these details, then you'll have all sorts of confusion. You'll have to go back. You cannot go and analyze all of this when you are in a real-time project. Let's say you are joining a company, you are taking up a project, you'll have some buffer time before you get started with a real-time project, before you kick off, with the real world scenarios and working with those different details. You will have enough time, ample amount of time to go through all of these details. So when you get some time, go through that, and that's how you want to go ahead and get into these things. Okay, good. One more last sheet here. Let's go ahead and understand what that is. This is all about the manager's information for the different regions that we have. Okay, so if you look at our orders table, in the orders table, there's a column called as region. And there is no mapping, no information about who's managing this particular detail. So we will have all of that information in a different sheet altogether. This is our people sheet. And there we will have, okay, who's managing Western region, Eastern region, so on and so forth. And this is what we have here. Yeah, that's how this is all set up. So I want you to please understand it from that perspective. Now, what we will do is when we load the data into Power BI, so your orders table will be coming up as a table. Your returns table or the people table, let's go with the people table, will be coming up here. This is our people table. This is what we are looking at. So you have region here. You will have region in the orders table. You'll have region in the people table. These two can be connected, and you can map your manager's information with any data that you have in the orders table. So in order to do the data modeling, this will be really helpful. So let's go ahead and do this way. Okay. I hope it's all making sense. We'll go through these process step by step. Don't worry, but understanding the data is important. Okay. All right. Now, let's go ahead and load it. I'm going through this data set specifically in this detailed manner because this is something that we will work with for a long time. And like I said, this is a good, nice, rich data set. I can accomplish a lot of scenario with this particular data set. I want you to understand one thing. Okay. I know that people are looking for real-time scenarios, real-time situations and examples in our courses, in every courses they join. Yes, that's a good thing. But what we want to do is, and my style of working with these details is, you may want to go ahead and start small with the data set. Okay. Real-time data is huge. It's like an ocean. And if I give you like, millions and millions of rows in every single table, and let's say I'm talking about joining concept in, you know, data set or in a SQL world, I'm talking about joining the two tables. Then if you have millions and millions of rows, you won't be able to validate anything here. And that's something that I want you to go ahead and please understand. All right. So I will be using a very simple data set. We will be understanding these concepts clearly, first of all. We will have some hands-on, we will have some capstone project to be done. And in those different hands-on and capstone projects, you can load and you will load a lot of details and you can go and understand all of this. Okay. But for understanding purposes, for demonstrating it and making it clear to you, I have to use a simpler data set. I cannot complicate things enough. And we have to go ahead and make sure that it's all simple to understand. If you get the concept, you can work with any larger data set. Okay. So running starts with taking a step. Yes. If you can't walk, you can't run. So this is how we want to go do this. So let's go ahead and take step by step these things slowly as we progress. You'll understand this. You can relate it to any scenarios and any situation that comes in the real-time situation. The hands-on and projects are going to help you for that. And all of that is there. Okay. And if you don't have anything of that sort, If you really want those different real-time situation scenarios and also the different details, get back to me. I'll give you the data set that you want. I'll give you the instructions and also the different requirements kind of a document that you want, and we'll go through that one by one. Okay. So yes, anything can be tweaked in between as well. We will just not go with the course content. Anything you want to add or delete from this particular detail, that's fine. And I'm okay with that. Yes. Okay, great. Okay, who's that annotating on my screen? This is something that I have to stop all the time. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Okay. All right. I want to stop people from annotating on my screen. Hold on. Okay, disable annotation for others. Done. Good. Now, let's load this data into Power BI. Yes, we will just do that. We will start off with the orders table first of all, and we want to understand what we are trying to do. Okay, so let's go through this orders table loading one more time. We'll see what we have to do, and I'll start slowly connecting to a variety of different data sources. Okay, have a look. So what I'll do is I'll go into this detail here. Let's go back to our Power BI file, and I'm starting with a fresh file today again because a lot of people are new here. Let's go and do that. So let me open this file. Yes. We will share the previous recordings with you. If you are interested, just ask my team and get back those recordings. You can go through that and we can do that. If you've already enrolled, you should have already got some, recordings, or you should have already access to the LMS portal. So you'll just go and get to that. But if you missed the last session, we were going ahead and loading the data using this icon, get data. So we want to first of all connect to our data set, load it into Power BI, and then get started with that, right? So let's use that icon on top. Or since this is an Excel file that we are talking about, yes, this is an Excel file that we are going through. So what we will do is we'll go through the right connector, and these Excel connectors are available in a lot of places. You can go and, kind of go through that one by one. For example, here it says import data from Excel. So you can start connecting to an Excel file from here. You can go and load your data. You can go and load the data from here, Excel workbook. So you can get started with this particular icon, connect to an Excel workbook, and go from there. You can also go ahead and connect to this Excel workbook connection here and go from there. But I wanted to show you the power of Power BI. Let's go ahead and go through the more option here, which is going to let you connect to more data, which means it is going to help you get the data from variety of different data sources. And we'll just go ahead and see how many data sources that Power BI can connect to. So let's go to the more option here. Yes, of course, you can use these icons on top, and here, all of this is all fine. It can help you connect to a Excel workbook. But let's go ahead and get a glimpse of what we have with the data sources list, and we can go ahead and do that. So click on that more option. And this is our first step. Okay, so we are getting into a dialog box called as get data. So remember this as a first step. And in this first step, you will have to go and choose what is your data source. It can be an Excel workbook. It can be a SQL Server database. It can be an Oracle database. It can be an Azure database, or something like that. It can be an, Amazon's database. Let's see if you have some, you don't have S3 buckets and all, but you will have all the different platforms that you can go and connect to. If your data lies on a web or SharePoint or OData feed and all of that, these are all different things. Okay. Spark or any other big data kind of a details, you can go and connect to that. So this is the entire list of different data sets that you can connect to and bring the data from there. Okay, so it is a huge list. Power BI is really powerful to connect and bring the data from all of these different data sources. Every single data visualization tool will go ahead and do this, and that's how we do it. I didn't teach you how to install Power BI. Okay, no problem. You can install Power BI by going into the Microsoft Store icon. Okay. If you're on Windows 11, you can go into the Microsoft Store, and then you can go ahead and just click on that. Let's go ahead and do that very quickly. Go into Microsoft Store. I hope you're having a Windows laptop. If not, let's go ahead and do this. So you just go search for Power BI Desktop. All right. And you can search for Power BI Desktop. and get it installed. Okay, Windows 10, yes, it will work in Windows 10 as well. So go and search for Microsoft Store in Windows 10, and you can go ahead and look for Power BI Desktop inside Microsoft Store and install it. Okay, so since I've already installed it, it says open, otherwise it will say install, and get that installed. And what this is going to do is it is going to push all the future updates automatically to your machine. So you don't have to upgrade the software again and again. Just once install it through this Microsoft Store and that should be done. Okay. Yeah. So just install this particular detail this way and that should be in your machine. Otherwise, if you're looking for some specific language based install, you can also do installation like this, Power BI desktop download. Let's say, for example, I'll go through this official link. I'm going to paste this link, just bookmark and keep it with you. You can just try this out. If the other one is not working, you can always go through this link, download the software, the setup file. Usually your machine should be on a 64-bit machine, but if not, if you know if it is not a 64-bit machine, go through this one. That's a 32-bit setup and download it and then install it just like the usual installation of any software. Okay. Now remember one thing, when I'm talking about this installation, I want to be very clear that you can do this on Windows 11, Windows 8 versions, and Windows 10. Okay. So Windows 10, Windows 8, and Windows 11 is something where you can install it. These are our usual, personal computer that we use. If you're on a server, yes, all these servers are also somewhere where you can install it. Now, you cannot install this on a Mac laptop. All right. Microsoft has not designed this product, has not created this product to be compatible with Mac. So if you have a Mac laptop, you cannot go and use it. So please make sure that you're using a Windows machine, or you can set up some cloud based virtual machines. You can get that from Google Cloud or AWS or Azure. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there. You can just check that out or let me know. I'll give you some reference on those different details. So I'll just give you that, go through that, and you can install it. So Mac users, sorry, Microsoft has not designed this for Mac. So please let me know and I'll give you some other alternatives. Okay. So that's something that you want to understand. This is how it's all built. Okay, good. Coming back, let's go ahead and connect to our Excel workbook. All right. So I'll just go through this one, Excel workbook. Click on that. I'll go ahead and say connect. And let's go to the data folder that I have, and I'll just go click on this one. Okay. So this is my sample superstores file, and we will just go ahead and work on a lot of other files just in some time. But let's go ahead and get started with this one. Say open. Okay. Now Power BI is going to read that file. We are opening that file from Power BI. Power BI is going to read that information. And you can see that it is connecting to sample superstores file that I have. And it is able to go and list all the sheets that we have just gone through in this particular fashion. Correct? Now, I think in the previous session, we loaded the order sheet, but let me go through that one more time. I'll click on the orders here. Okay. And what you do is you get a preview on the right-hand side. All right. So we get the preview, and all you have to do is you will have to scan through this information very quickly. Scanning in the sense you have to scan through your eyes, go through these details and understand whether there is any issue with the data or not. A lot of times you'll find that the headers are not proper. Okay. And you will also see that the data may have skipped a few columns. You may have that kind of an issue. Yes. So these are all some discrepancies that you may want to go ahead and capture right away, because Power BI is showing you a preview in front of you. So when you click on the table name, it is showing you a preview here on the right hand side. So you want to go through this very quickly, give it a real good look, and that should be good enough. If you want to decide, yes, things are going good and you want to load it into Power BI, yes, you can load it. Otherwise, you need to go do something else before you can load it. So you may probably want to go ahead and kind of change or modify certain things, rectify those issues, and then load the data into Power BI. We'll get to that particular scenario, but let's focus on the orders table for now. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and look at the preview here. The preview looks good. If you look at the headers are all set fine, just fine. Yes. If you look at the column, the order date and the details within the order date is looking like an order date. So I would say the details are just fine. The row ID looks like a sequential number, and that is the row ID that we have. Good. So these are some things that you want to kind of validate. Customer name, is it looking like a customer name? And if you just go through these details, just kind of scan through these information. You don't have to go ahead and do this with every single value. No, just look at it. Is the sales value looking like a sales value? Is it a decimal number format? Whatever that is it looking and coming in properly or not? That's the only validation that you have to do. So once you're done with this, good. Let's go ahead and move forward and let's see how this goes. So once you're ready and you're set to go ahead and load this particular file, what you want to do is you want to check this box to tell Power BI that, yes, I want to go ahead and load the orders table into Power BI. Okay. So I'm just going to check this box, check, and that will enable these buttons for me. Okay. Load, transform, and other things. So since my preview is all looking good, I want to go ahead and load the data because there is no discrepancy, no issues with my data set. So I'll just go ahead and load it from here and let's see how that goes. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. So we'll just go ahead and hit load button because everything looks good here in the orders table. I'll just go ahead and say load. That is it. Done. We'll go ahead and load it into Power BI. Okay. So it's doing its thing. It's loading and reading that data into Power BI, and then it's going to go give you this information. So the data pane, whenever you look at the data pane, you will have tables and you can expand this table. You can further, expand this table and you'll get all the column names inside it. Yes. So this is our table and these are all the columns that we get inside this table. The columns are usually sorted from A to Z because you want to go ahead and kind of quickly look at and get to a column. So it is always alphabetically sorted. It may be of a different order in your file. So or in your database, it can be of different order. So mine starts with row ID, order date. It may not be in this particular order when you load it. It's just the way Power BI is all set up for you to go ahead and get to those details very quickly. Yes. So you don't have to search for the details, and shuffling these columns will make it difficult for you to go through them. So it's just alphabetically sorted. So the important aspect here is your column coming in? Are your data, is your rows and other things are loading into Power BI? That's the essential things. Okay. I also get asked a lot of times, why is it sorting in this fashion? I don't want it in this fashion. I mean, you can not do anything about it. You are working on a product and the product is designed in this way. So you'll not be able to change anything here. That's the way you want to go ahead and look at it. Okay. So usually it's a, sort in ascending order, and you may want to go through those different details to get to a particular detail. Okay. Where is going to be P if you want to go ahead and get to a product name, product ID, something like that. So you'll be able to easily find those columns. That's the whole point of doing this. And that's the way the tool works. Good. So if you remember, I told you that there are three different views in our uh, file, which we will go through. So the first one is called as a report view, right? The second one is called as the table view. And the third one is called as the model view. This is what we kind of understood last time. So we are looking at the report view and you can build the reports here. That's fine. So you are looking at the report view and that's the view we are currently on. That's the default view you get into whenever you open Power BI. But if you want to go into the table view, this is our table view. Let's go into the table view and understand how the orders table has come up. Okay. So if I go onto the table view, I click on the orders table, it will show you the data and you can see it has all the columns in the same order from your source. So the row ID, order date, ship date, blah, blah, blah. All of these columns are exactly in the same order. And if I go towards the right-hand side, the last few columns are going to be the measures of interest that we have. Yes. So this is very important. This is how you have to go and look at your information. When you go and look at the model view, if I click on this, you'll see that it's coming up here this way. And the orders table is loaded, and that's why it's denoted in this fashion. As you load multiple tables, those tables will come up like this. And this particular environment is all for data modeling. We'll go and discuss that in future, in sometime third or fourth session from now. We'll go and discuss that and we'll go through these different details. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I have. And let's go through these details and, kind of understand it. Now, the fourth icon here is called as a DAX query view. This is not something that we will go and cover because this is for advanced users. This is for validating and kind of understanding where your performance is lagging and how do you want to go and kind of optimize the performance of your DAX queries. That's why we use it. You are talking about queries here. We are not going to write any queries on DAX. We want to write simple DAX formulas. Okay. So simple DAX expressions is what we will do. That's a different thing. If you have written some sum function, VLOOKUP function in Excel, that's the formula that I'm talking about. Okay. So we will go ahead and work on DAX formula. And this is not the place which we will use for DAX formulas. There are different ways of writing the formulas. We'll understand that when we go through the DAX session, but this is not the view that we will go through. Okay. This was just recently added. Power BI gets updates every single month. you know every single month there are 20-30 features added to the Power BI tool, and all of a sudden tomorrow when you open Power BI it's going to be different. Okay, so you'll have a lot of features, a lot of functionalities, a lot of menus, a lot of details added. So yes, you'll have to accustom yourself to using this product, and there are going to be a lot of changes happening for sure. It's not going to be complete change, like the look and feel of this environment will change. No, the basic things will remain. A few feature improvement will happen. A few new nice features would be added. Some functionalities will be kind of added or removed. That is what is going to happen. Some menus will be modified and they will be moved to some other places. That's what will happen. And that's something that you want to go and look at. Yeah. So this is something that we will not cover, but as we progress, I'll give you a glimpse of it and I'll tell you how this is different from everything else. But you'll only work on the first three views: the report view, table view, and the model view. You'll be going through that, toggling between those things a lot. And we'll cover that in some time. Yes, that's how I want you to please look at this information. Good. All right. I'll come back here and let's see. Let's go ahead and load the next sheet from this particular detail. And I want to go through some information here. Let's go ahead and load the returns or the people sheet. We have talked about loading the order sheet. The order sheet was all fine. There was no issue with the data. So we loaded that just like that. But returns and people sheet is going to give you some trouble. Let's go ahead and understand what that is and how to rectify that and how to load it into Power BI. Yes. So let's get to those details. Okay, have a look. Let's go back. Let's go ahead and connect to the same file and try to load those different details. Now I'm going to ask you some questions, so be prepared to answer, and there are no right or wrong answer. Please feel free to interact in this session. I don't want to be the only speaker here. So let's go ahead and, talk and communicate and discuss a few things here and there, and then we'll move forward. Good. So I'm going to click on this Excel workbook. I don't want to go through the hassle of, getting to more and get it and all of that. I have this option here. Let's click on that option. That is going to ask me to go ahead and point it to a data set. So I'll go ahead and point it to this one here. Let's go ahead and do that. And I'll just say open and we'll just go through those different details. Okay. Now this is our, navigator window that comes up. We have loaded the orders table. If you remember, the preview was just giving us a nice, neat information that this table could be directly loaded. That's how this table was all there. But if I go to the people table, look what happens, observe what's happening, and tell me what is wrong with this preview. Okay. So I'm going into the people table and tell me what is wrong with this particular table. What's going on? What is wrong? Let me know. You can unmute yourself and talk to me. What is going on? What's wrong with this data set? Headers in the first. Yeah,
Headers
yes. Yes, correct.
only.
Headers are not proper. Very good. Yeah. Thank you for that. So the headers are not proper. Yes. What should we do? Where is our header? The header is here in the very first row. That's where the header is. We want to kind of promote that header to the first row. Yes or no? But we will have to also understand why is it happening for this particular table? Why is it happening for people table? Let's go to the returns table now. You'll also see that the headers are not proper here. Yes. So headers are not coming up for this particular detail as well. So what we want to do is we want to first of all understand why is this happening? That's the biggest question, right? Now, have a look. If I go to the orders table, let me give you the answer here. If I go to the orders table, let's assume that this is not your header. This is not your column header, but this is your first row. Let's assume this is your first row. Yes. Now, the first row, if you look at the entire details on the first row, how is this? It's all text in nature. Yes. Look at the data type. Look at the details here. So every single value here is of text in nature, string of characters. Yes. This is what we have. And that's how we have this information here, right? But if you look at some of the other values in this particular column, let's take the order date. So the first row is a text value, but the rest of the value is all of date data type. Yes or no?
Yeah.
You will see that the row ID is all of text data type, but the rest of the values are all number, integer, or however you want to call it, whole numbers. So this is how the details are all set up. But if you look at the people table, you will have no differentiation between a header. This is all text. The values within the same column is all text. This is all text. So Power BI will not have any clue whether it can promote this particular column to the headers or not. Are you getting my point? Yes. Very important. You have to go and look at your preview. You have to understand whether there are some small discrepancies like this coming up or not. This table is not suitable to be taken to your Power BI file and work with that. You cannot go and work with that. Yes. So you'll have to rectify a few things here. You'll have to modify a few things here. We call this as transformation. You're going to transform your data into something that is more usable. Yes. That is what we will go through. And that's what we are talking about. Now, Power BI is not giving you this information because Power BI does not want to be wrong. It does not want to promote the first row. What if it's not an header? Yeah. What if it's not an header? It's one of the values that you have in your first row. Your details are starting from the first row. So it does not want to give you any wrong information. So this is where you as a developer should pitch in, and you will have to go and rectify or modify these details before you can load it into your tool. Okay. I told you this already. Yes, if you have attended the previous session, I told you the data is going to be of two types. One, it's not going to be present in a single place. You'll have it in variety of different formats. You'll have it in different places. You'll have to bring it into a single place and you'll have to collate and work with those information. That's what I said. The second thing is the data is never clean. So this is a example of that. Your data is never clean. Your data is not going to be perfect all the time. So you'll have to go ahead and make it perfect, at least make it near perfect, so that you can say, yes, this gets done. This is the way I want to have it. This is the job. This does the job right now, and I want to take it forward. If there are any other discrepancies that you encounter later, you can fix that. You can rectify that. But that's how I want you to look at this information. Yes. So you want to make it at least to a good, nice shape, and then you want to go ahead and take it forward. You should not be just like that consuming the data. In this case, it is not a data that I can consume. I need to have this promoted to the header, and we will have to go ahead and do that for sure. Okay. One more thing, you can load multiple tables at a time. You can just check these boxes. Multiple boxes can be checked, and you can load multiple tables at a time. You can very well do that. But in this case, we have some discrepancies with our data set, right? So what I'll do is I will go ahead and make some changes here, and then we will go through these details. Okay. So I'll check these boxes first of all. That's going to let Power BI know that, hey, I want to go ahead and load these two tables. Yes, that is how we are trying to go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and do that. And the second thing that I want to do here is we want to go ahead and rectify these details and then take it forward, right? So let's see. Let's just give me 1 minute, guys. Okay. Just 1 second, please. Okay, hold on. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this. So I cannot go ahead and load the data. Yes, I cannot go ahead and load the data, but we have to go ahead and transform the data first. We have to modify the data. We'll have to get it to the right shape, and then we want to load it. Are you getting this point? Yes. So if the data is not that good, if the data is not clean, if you have any discrepancies, errors, you'll see all of this in your data set in your preview. Even if you miss this from your preview here, we will see how you can go ahead and rectify those details. Yes, let's see. So we'll just go into the transformation window. I'll say transform data, and let's see how this is to be done. Okay. All right, guys. So we'll just go into a different window altogether. You'll have to understand this. And whenever I'm working on my screen here, please pay attention to the details. I want you to look at my screen, uh, understand the flow, what I'm going through, and how am I going into a particular detail, because it's all a user-based interface. Okay. You click on something and you will have to go ahead and get this done. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. Okay. I'll be clicking on some buttons and all of a sudden we'll be into a different window, different dialog box, different options will pop up. And if you're not paying attention, it's going to just be missed out. Okay. I'm not uh, going to say that that's wrong, but I'm okay to repeat it. But if you can just pay attention when I'm working and not work parallelly, if you have that kind of a setup, don't work parallelly because you'll lose the flow and I'll have to go through that again, which is okay. But I want you to please pay attention to the details when we are going through these things in our session. Yeah. And also my team has requested for the phone numbers and details. So if you're liking these sessions, if you like the way this session is being carried out, just share your numbers. If you're not enrolled for this course already, you can do that. My team will reach out to you or reach out to my team and you can get yourself enrolled. So just try that. Let's see how we can do that. Okay. All right. Now, do you remember the slide that I was on last time? If you remember this slide, just give me a minute. Let me just open the file here. Let's see if that's the file I have. Okay. Let me go through this information here. Do you remember the slide? Yes. ETL1. Yes, very good. Very good. Thanks for bringing that up. That's good. Where are we? So we talked about the ETL stuff here, right? So if you remember this ETL stuff, so you're connecting to the data set, you have some discrepancies with the data, you want to go ahead and modify your data set. Yes, that's what we have to do. So this is what we are going through. And let's come back to our Power BI file. Let's just do that. So we were here in this main window. Yes or no? We were trying to go ahead and get to our data. You are connecting through the right data set. What are you doing here? You're trying to go ahead and extract the data. Yes, you're trying to pull the data. You're trying to get to the data, connect to the data. That's what you're trying to do. So that is your extraction process. Yes. And uh, if I go through this particular detail here, so what are we going to do now? We are in a window where we want to go ahead and transform some of these information before you can load it into Power BI. Yes or no? So what are we going through right now? We are going through an ETL process. Now, this is not written anywhere that you're doing an extraction process here. Let's go and transform our data. Let's go and load our data. It's not written anywhere. It's not hard coded anywhere. It's not kind of showing you and giving you all that information. It just says, and it just does that behind the scenes. So you're trying to extract your data. You're trying to transform your data. You're trying to load your data. Now, when the data was nice and neat, like the orders table, you never needed a transformation step. So you can skip that and you can go from the extraction to the loading part directly. So not transformation, not every time transformation steps are important. I hope you're getting this. So that's the way I want you to look at this information. So we are here in this window, and this is a dedicated window for all the transformation that you do. And this window is called as the Power Query Editor. Yes, this is what we are talking about. We will have to go ahead and do this. Yeah. So let's go ahead and try working on this. Let's go ahead and fix our column headers issue and then load it into Power BI. Clear? Yeah. Just stop me anytime, ask those questions, put it in the chat box. I've given you the mic access. Stop me and ask those questions. Don't wait for me to stop. Okay. Just interfere and you can just go ahead and ask those questions. Good. Now look at this. Let's go to the people table. Now, what should you do? The only thing that we need here is the data looks nice. The data is coming in like this. And the only thing that we have to do here is kind of, get the first row to the headers. That's all we need. That's a simple thing that we need here, right? If you look at your menu on top and there are a lot of options available, one of the options that you see here is called as use first row as headers. I'll zoom in. Look at that. Use first row as headers is an option. So do we want to have our first row promoted to the other headers? That's what we want to do. So there is an option that can help you do that. Simple. Just click on that particular option. And remember, we are not writing any line of code. Have you written any line of code till now? No. It's all the user interface that you're working with. And all you have to remember is this is easier and simpler than Excel. Okay. This tool is easier than Excel to work with. And that's what we have. So if you click on the first row as header, use the first row as headers, I'll click on that. That's a transformation that you're adding to your details. So I'll just go do that. And look at that. The first row gets promoted to the headers. Now we have that detail there. Just do it once. Don't do it multiple times. Just don't click it 10 times. Then the first 10 rows will be promoted to the headers. I mean, it will just swap those details by row and row basis, and you'll end up getting a different value altogether. So just click it once. So the first row gets promoted to the headers. That's it. Okay, done. Very good. Now, do you see an icon here? There is an icon here. If you just click on that icon, what you can do is you can use first row as header from here as well. You can use the same option from here as well. Okay, that's what we have. So there are different ways of getting to the same option and going through these details. So this is how you can go and do this. Let's try the second option here in the returns table. I'll go and click on this icon and we'll go and use this use first row as headers option here. Yes, click on that icon, use first row as headers, and there we go. We have fixed it. Yes, correct. Our table looks good now. So either this option from the top, this is under the home menu. So if you are inside any other menu, just make sure that you're in the home menu, home tab, and then go and click on those options. Or you can get it from here. This is the small icon here. Just click on that and get it from there. That does the trick for us. And that's what we are looking for. Okay. We'll come back to this particular window and we'll go through these details one more time sometime later. We'll work on this particular window for a long time. At least I would say 4 to 5 hours of discussion is going to be there on this particular window. So we'll just talk about these things. We'll understand the different transformation techniques. What is that you can achieve with this particular window? All of that can be done. So that's how I want you to look at it. Okay. Now, once we are done with these changes, yes, we are done with these changes, correct? So all we are good here. Once this is all done, our intention of coming to this window to transform our data is all done. Yes or no? We want to modify, we wanted to modify our data. We have modified our data. Now we want to load this information into Power BI, the main window, the tool. Yes. How do I do it? You just have to go ahead and click on this close and apply button. Okay, there is a close and apply icon or a button here. You can just click on it. So what are we doing? We are closing this window. We are applying all the changes that we have done and we are loading it into Power BI. That's what this means. Okay. There are also options like this. If you click on the drop down, there are options like close, which will only close the window, but will not apply the changes and you may lose the changes. So be very careful. Yes. There are options like apply. As and when you want to go and apply the changes, keep it ready when you load it. Yes, go and apply this. But remember, apply means just application of these changes. It's not going to close the window. You're going to stay in this window and you'll have to go and do some more changes if you want, then close and apply. But the best practice here usually is most of the time we will just go and do a lot of changes. And once you're all done, you want to go with close and apply as an option. So we are closing and coming out of this window and then applying all the changes and taking those changes into Power BI. So please do that way. That's how you want to go and look at this information. Yes. So always close and apply. So we are here, just close and apply, click on that icon, and that should go ahead and close and apply these details. Okay. Is that clear? All right. So we have got our data here. Let's go ahead and see. This is what we have. Yeah. And let's go through these people table. click on that people table, expand it, you'll see that the table and the column names are all good. Very good. Let's go to the returns table, expand that table. The column names are all good. So the issue is all sorted out. You can also go to your table view. You can click on your people table. You want to view the people tables information. So this is our people tables information. The column headers and the details below that is all looking good. Very good. Let's go to the returns table now. Look at that detail. The headers and the details are all looking good. So just fine. So you can validate all of this from here. And this is how things are going to be done. Okay. So you'll find a lot of discrepancies when you go and load the data. It can be errors, it can be column headers issue. There can be some anomalies with your data, how it is being read. Columns can get shifted and all of that can happen. So whenever you have those issues, go to the transform menu and rectify it. Okay. Now, what if you have missed it? What if you have not given a good, nice attention to the preview? You just kind of, you were in a hurry, you were kind of blindly clicking on the load button and you have loaded it. What will happen? Now, what will you do? Now, this will come as column one, column two. The column headers are not proper, column one, column two again. So for each of these tables. Now, you want to go back to that transformation window and fix all that issue and then load that again. Yes or no? So if you want to get to that transformation window, or that's called as a Power Query editor here, yes. If you want to do that, that is going to be accessed using this icon. What is this? It's the same exact button that we clicked on when we were trying to go get into the Power Query editor window, right? So transform data, click on this icon. And what happens is when I click on this icon, it will take me back to the Power Query editor from where we have fixed all of these issues. Yes. So this is how we want to go and work on this window. And then once you've fixed all of this, close and apply again, and that should load all the data into the tool. So even if you have missed it while you were loading it for the first time and you want to go and access the transformation step one more time, yes, you can always do that. There is no right or wrong methods here. We'll always do mistakes. And when you're starting off, you will always do mistakes. That's fine. We'll go and learn from that mistake. So there is no right or wrong answers here. There are no straightforward methods of doing this. This is your step one. This is your step two. This is your step three. If you skip step two, there is no getting back. There is nothing like that here inside this environment. This environment is very flexible. This is going to give you all the options. Even if you delete something, you can get back those details immediately. Yes, there are options for that. As we progress, we'll go and understand it. But that's how flexible, that's how super easy it's to go and work with these details. So you don't have to go get started again. You don't want to delete it. You don't want to go and kind of start over again to go and load the data, transform it, and then load it. It's always flexible and you can always go back and forth into these windows and come back and get to those details. Good. I want to stop here. Any questions? Let me take a pause. Let me just you know ask if there are any questions. Please do let me know. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, good. So I hope everything is clear so far. So yeah, let's move on then. If there are no questions, let's move on. Great. Now, this was an Excel file. Yes, everyone can have an Excel file. You can have some data, you can load it. I'm just going to provide this Excel file here. Let's see. Okay. Okay, there is a question coming my way. Okay, let me just take that up. Is knowing SSIS mandatory? Which ETL tool do you recommend, which is best suits in demand with Power BI? There is no need for an ETL tool to be known or understood. But if you already have an ETL knowledge, that's going to be a good, nice, add-on, I would say, to your knowledge and also the understanding to work with Power BI. So it's a great addition to the things that you can do, and that bring that the knowledge that you bring in along with that particular, ETL concepts, that's going to be huge. And that's going to be really coming in handy when you work with the data. All right. There is no specific tools required here. You don't have to have a prerequisites. The very basic thing that you want to understand is, if you know some Excel, if you know how to write some formulas in Excel, that's good enough, because that's what we will use in DAX. And you don't have to be an expert in these formulas. There's just a basic way of passing some arguments, using a function or a formula inside Excel. If you have a basic knowledge, that's more than enough. All right. That's again not a prerequisite. That's a good thing to have. Otherwise, again, like I said, this is a tool. Let's say you are starting from an empty slate and you want to understand Power BI. That's a good way to go and look at this tool. Let's say you are, I've trained people who are from the mechanical engineering background. They are HRs of different organizations, and they're completely from a different you know uh, domain or things perspective. They are coming from a different background altogether. They are not into technical stuff. They don't even know what's a database, how is a data stored in a database, how to access a database. They have never seen anything of that sort. Database may be a familiar term, but not people know, not lot of people know how this is all set up. But if you're bringing that knowledge, if you are into, let's say, ETL, if you're into data warehousing, if you're into, database background, if you're bringing that knowledge, that's more than enough. One thing that you have to remember is, we are going to work with data. Yes. And the data is not going to be in files for sure. Yes, if it is all some, S3 bucket or anything of that sort, you can have things as a file format, but you can still go and get that data, collate it and bring it. But most of the time, remember, I'm talking about Amazon a lot. Amazon's database is going to be huge. Imagine Uber, Ola, I may have given this example. These companies and organization, in order to maintain and manage their information, they don't use files. Yes, there are going to be millions and millions of transactions happening for different businesses. Yes, Zepto, Zomato, whatever that is, you are having orders coming in every single second. Yeah. So you cannot go and store that into a particular table in a sheet or in a file. So you have to have a database, correct? Or probably they are working on building a data warehouse as well. Who knows? But that's how they will have to go and look at the information. So remember, whenever you're connecting to these data set, working with databases plays a crucial role. And that's why, if even if you see this entire course, you will get a complimentary addition of Oracle SQL. Yes. So that is something that you'll go and work on. You'll have to understand it, and please parallelly go through those videos and other things. So you're given with a self-learning videos, and you can just go take your time, go through those details, and you can try to get to those database concepts, and that's what you have to understand. So the only thing that I would say here is, when you're working with Power BI, when you are working with the real-time projects and scenarios, the data is never going to be in a file. You'll not connect to a file at all. Okay. You will connect to a real-time database. And that database, if you want to query that, if you want to connect to that, if you want to work on that, you need to have SQL knowledge. Simple as that. But if you're bringing any other details, any other knowledge like ETL, data warehousing, other tools knowledge, it's all very good. It is all add on to this particular detail. But I would just say a basic Excel knowledge should do good. Plus SQL knowledge is kind of mandatory when it comes to working with Power BI, because most of the bigger organization will go and use databases. So yes, go and understand it. Now, you don't have to be a database administrator. Okay. I'm not asking you to go and learn how to create a table, how to go and, drop a table, or how to go ahead and insert, update, and delete a table. We don't want to do all of that. The only thing that you want to master is, you just want to master a simple query, which is going to be a select query. Okay. When you're going through this database concepts, go ahead and understand how to work with the database, how to query the database by using the select query. Okay. So select query will have a lot of ways in which you can write it. So you have select star from table name, then you'll go and use some where conditions. You'll just go and do some group by. And you can also do some joins here. I'm just kind of listing all of that, not in the same order, but I'm just going to list all that. So let's say you want to go ahead and work on joins. You want to understand how to group by some data. There is also a having clause which comes up with the group by. So a lot of things like this is to be understood. If you're not thorough with this, then it's going to be difficult to manage things in a real time situation. That is how we want to go do it. Yes, ADF is going to be very good tool. You can just go and learn that as well, and that's okay. Azure Data Factory, yes, accepted. Good. All right. Yeah. So that's what we have. Okay, moving on. What is Fabric? Some details. Fabric is something like it's more like an umbrella term. Okay. Let's say I'm just going and showing you. It's an umbrella term. This is Fabric for you. Okay. Now, what is Fabric? I'm just using my mouse to write all of this. Don't mind my bad handwriting. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. Okay. So Power BI is one of the tools under this particular umbrella. You have a lot of ETL stuff that you can do. You can go and do that. All right. So Microsoft Fabric is more like an ecosystem. And within that, Power BI is one of the tools. You'll also get a lot of ETL tools. You will have data flows, data, other things that you can do. Let me show you this particular environment. So if I go and say app.powerbi.com, this is Power BI service where you will go ahead and do this. Okay. I think I'll just have to log in. Just hold on. Let me just log in very quickly. Yeah. I'm just going to pause my screen a while and we will just go through this quickly. Just hold on. Okay, 1 second. Okay, hold on, guys. I just have to give the code and other things. Okay, I'll probably do that later because it's taking a bit of a time. Let's just try this one more time. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. I think that my login was not working. Just hold on. Let me see. Okay, I'm logged in. Yes. Hold on. Okay, so this is our Power BI service environment. We will go through these details in some time. Okay. At the end of this question, at the end of this course, we'll just definitely go do that. So have a look. When I refresh it, do you see an icon come up? That's your Microsoft Fabric icon. There was that F icon. Yes, let me just do this one more time. See this? This is our Microsoft ecosystem. Okay. Now within this, you will have a lot of details. Power BI is one of the applications here. But if I go to a workspace, let me just go to one of these workspaces. And if I just go click on this one here, new item, let's go look at all of this. So you can see that Power BI is one of the things that you go and work on. You can create dashboards, reports, and all of that. That's good. But you'll get something like data pipeline, data flow, Gen 1, Gen 2, generation 1, 2, and all of that. You'll have a lot of other different tools and environments that you can connect to. So like I said, this is more like an, umbrella term, and you will have a lot of applications, kind of coming in to your uh, this fabric ecosystem. So we'll go learn that. It's part of this entire course. So we'll go and learn that later, but that's like an umbrella term, like I said, and it's an ecosystem where a lot of ETL tools and other things come into play. Okay, we'll just go ahead and do that like that. Okay. Yes, it's a unified platform. That's what I said. And we'll go ahead and work on those different details. Yes, correct. Right. All in one platform. Yes, very good. Okay, now let's move on, guys, and let's see. Yes, like ChatGPT, which is getting integrated with everything. You have Copilot here, right? So these are all AI tools. So AI in this in the sense, getting integrated with a lot of tools. So that's how we have it. Yeah, you can kind of, you know, interpret it in that fashion. It's an ecosystem all in one platform. So that's what we are trying to go and do, and that's what Microsoft is thinking and doing. So yeah, Power BI was a separate product altogether. Now it gets integrated with all of this. You can use a lot of different things inside that fabric environment. So that's kind of an umbrella term that we have. Okay, good. Now, let me show you how to connect to a database. We'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, have a look. Let me open a SQL Server database here, SQL Server database. And what I'm going to do is after the session is done, if you're already enrolled, you'll have an access to a LMS portal. I'll share all these files with you, and I'll also share all the details that I'm going to go through in this particular session with you. There is one more file that I'll share. Okay, so this is my SQL Server Management Studio where I can connect to the database. But if you really want to install this database, if you want to go through that, but you already have a kind of a add-on that you're getting, right? Oracle SQL. So probably you have that database, so you can set up the database. If you go through those videos, that's also fine. But I'm a SQL Server guy. Okay, I have a lot of things that I do on a daily basis on a SQL Server environment. That's what I do. So if I connect to this environment, you'll see a lot of databases. I just have some sample databases, and we will go ahead and connect to one of the tables here. Okay. But the thing that I wanted to go ahead and show you is I have a file, and I'm again going to open this particular file. Hold on. Okay. So let me just open that and I'll show you this. I'll share this file after the session is done, and you will be able to go through a lot of details here. Okay. Have a look. So this is the file that I'm talking about. I've just opened it here. Okay. Now, based on the different batches that I've handled and also the different requests that I get, I have included some important links and important details here that people usually ask, my students usually ask here. So let's go ahead and go through this. So this is called as a SQL Server installation and other links. Now, if you're going through the Oracle setup, you can go through that. You can install it. But if you're, again, SQL Server is again something easy, simple that you can set up and work on. So you can go ahead and do that. So you will see that I have the sample superstores data set here. So if you want to go ahead and download it, I'm just going to leave the link here on the chat box as well. So you can go ahead and, look at that and go through that particular detail because we are covering that. And you will see a lot of other files and SQL Server installation guide here is here. So if I just go take this particular link and go through this particular link here, it's a kind of a, blog article, and you can go through these different details, and you can see that it gives you a step-by-step instruction, a very neat and detailed instruction on how to go and set up the details. That's what we have. You can go through this and set up your own database. Okay, that's how you can go ahead and work on it. I also have a lot of asks on the certification program and preparation materials for that. So I have some links to the books here. So you can also check this out. These are all the different links for the SQL Server books. So you can go through that. These are nice, good books, and it is all Amazon links. You can go and look at that, and if you want, you can purchase them. And I get asked a lot of times, what laptop do I use? I use a very high configuration gaming laptop. That's why my system is not hanging. I have a lot of applications open and I can run all of that. So I use a very pretty, kind of a costly laptop. You can have a look at that because my students are also interested in getting something, and you need some superpower to go and, work on Power BI. So if you're really interested in going on and doing that, take a look at this. This is what I'm trying to do. And a lot of other links are also there. So data.world, Kaggle, all of these are some websites from where you can download the data set and work on it. So all these things is going to be shared with you. So this is something that we come up, the questions and all those things come up. So this is kind of a setup and other links that I have here. So just go through these links after the session is done. I'll share this particular detail. So go through these different things, and that's something that I want you to look at. Okay, but let's focus on our ways of working here. So we want to go and connect to a database, and we'll just go through the details. Okay. All right. Now, let's go to our database, and I'm inside a simple database here. It's an HR database that I have, and we have a lot of tables that we want to go ahead and kind of connect to, but we want to just connect to one of the tables here. Let's say employees table. I want to load the data from the employees table into Power BI, and let's see how to load it. Okay. So I'm just going to query this just to show you how the table looks like, and look at this particular information here. So this is my table, and this is what we have. Okay. We have employee level information. So employee ID, first name, last name, the employee's email address, phone number, the hire date, and all of the other details about the employee and around the employee. That's what we have in this particular table. Now, this is not too much of a data, but we have, the details like this, about 42 rows coming in, and that's what we have. So that's a decent table, and also something that we want to go ahead and load it into Power BI. So let's see how to connect to our database, how to load it from a database, and that's what is our focus. So let's try doing that. Okay. Now, if you remember the steps that we have followed for connecting to an Excel workbook, what was it? You click on get data, or you click on this icon here, which is asking you to connect to an Excel workbook. So you click on this. The very first step is you're asked to go ahead and click on this particular information here, the file, point it to the file, and then go ahead and open the file, right? So let me just give you the flow diagram here. So the very first thing that you are asked for is to go and get to the data, meaning that where is this file lying? Where is this information lying? So it's all about the get data dialog box. And also, you want to go ahead and say, hey, what's your connector and how are you going to that particular file? So let's say Excel connector is what we want to go ahead and use. And that is our very first step. So you're pointing to the file, you're loading that particular file here. The second step that we went through was a navigator window. Yes. If you remember, we had the orders, people, and other details here. We were going on and choosing what tables to be loaded. If that has to go through the transformation phase, yes, we went through that and we loaded all of that here. So two-step process, point it to the file which you want to go and load, go through the navigator window, choose the sheets that you want to load, and you loaded that information into the tool here, right? Similarly, what will happen when you go through a SQL server is that you will have to go and connect to a SQL server environment. So the very first step that you go and do, and what Power BI is going to ask you, is to get a connection established to the SQL server environment. Okay. So you'll have to go and connect to the SQL server environment. So we will go and see how that is to be done. And then you will go through the same navigation window, and it's going to list all the tables from that HR database if you were to connect to the HR database. And you can go ahead and transform the data if you want, and then go ahead and load the data into this. So what are we doing here? If you look at this entire process, the steps to get to the details is all the same. So you are telling Power BI how to connect to the data set. This is a SQL Server environment. The steps may be slightly different because you're talking about the server, the database, the table name, and all of that. But in this case, it was an Excel file. So sheets and what is the data that you want to load, that's what you're trying to point it to. That's how I want you to look at it. The second step is all the same. The navigator window is what we will go through. We'll choose a particular table and we will load it into Power BI. Simple as that. So no matter what is your data source, the steps are all the same. The only thing that will happen is your, first step is all just going to be different slightly, but the rest of the steps is all going to be exactly the same. Okay. So that's how I want you to look at it. So what I get asked a lot of time is, hey, Amber, I want to connect to a Azure environment. Good. But see, the steps are again the same. Let's say you want to go ahead and do a connection to a SQL Server database there in Azure environment. Fine. So what I want you to understand is it will give you a pop-up. It will ask you for the Azure server name, IP address, or whatever that is. You'll have to go ahead and key in those details. You'll be taken to the navigator window. You'll have to choose the table, and then you have to load that detail. So the way your first step is going to be set up is based on the connection that you want to establish. Let's say you want to go and connect to a SharePoint folder. You'll have to give a SharePoint path. Yes, an online SharePoint path. And that is something that is an input to this particular detail. So I hope you're able to get my point. Once you can get a connection established to that particular SharePoint link, then you can traverse through the different files. and then you can load it into Power BI. So what I'm saying here is, if you just go feel the way of connecting to the data sources one or two at a time, then you already have a knowledge of how to connect to the data set. But we will go through a couple of data sets here, and you will understand how to connect to different data sources. Our focus for now is just to load the data. We are not worried about the discrepancies that we have. We will be rectifying a few things here and there if it is really required. But as of now, we are just focused on loading the data. So let's focus on loading the data from a variety of different data sources. And like I said, and like I mentioned from this previous, the slide that I was showing you, if you remember, Power BI will be able to connect to a variety of different data sources. That's one of the strengths of a lot of visualization tools, the BI tools. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. So we are going to establish connections to a heterogeneous source system. This is pretty much possible in your real-time environment as well. You may be connecting to a SharePoint path. You may be connecting to an OneDrive path. You may be connecting to a local file, which is your mapping file. You can connect to the data on the website or connecting through an API to get to your details. You can do anything and everything. You will be able to connect to a database as well. So that's how you will be bringing the data, and you need to understand how to do this. But the simplest thing that you have to understand here is the first step is alone going to be different. The rest of the steps are all the same. So we'll go through those details, we'll understand that part, and that should give you a good, nice idea on how to connect to a data set. And remember, there are going to be always people around you inside your project. Yes. There will be someone to help you out with for the very initial stage. Let's say you are new to Azure based environment and your data is coming from Azure. Ask your colleague, what is that you're using? What data source is that you're using? Is there any add-on or installation required? Is there a client particular information required? And once you get the details of that particular database that you want to connect to, maybe server name, IP address, username, password, and all of that, you're good. Just get their help once and understand how to connect to it. From next time onwards, you know how to go and proceed with those details. So everyone is going to need a push at the very initial stage. So get that kind of questions asked and get yourself familiarized with connecting to the data sources. That's just a one-time step, one-time process. And next time onwards, you can do it yourself. You can save the username, password somewhere, copy paste those details, go through that. Okay, everyone goes through that particular phase. So there is nothing wrong in asking for any help here and there. Okay. Yeah. So that's how things are going to work in a real-time environment. So yeah, go get used to this. But let's focus on, like I said, connecting to this table from the Power BI environment. So where is my database lying? Where is my data lying? It's in a SQL Server environment. Yes. So we want to go through this connector here, and we will have to go and get a connection established to the SQL Server environment. Yes. So we'll just do that. So I'll click on this SQL Server, and let's go through this information here. What is that? We have a server name that we have to go ahead and pass. Let's see how to go ahead and do that. We will have to go ahead and pass a database name. We will do that. And we'll go through a connectivity mode here. So what is it? It's an import connection or a direct connection. Let me just talk about this in a while, but let's go ahead and get our details. What is our server name? What is our database name? Okay. Like I said, these are the inputs required for Power BI to get a connection established with the SQL Server database. When you were going through the file, you needed to point it to the file. What was the folder path and where is your file lying? You have to go and, give it all those details. And that's how it was getting to the data. Yes. In this case, it's a server, SQL Server environment. You have to provide the server details. You have to provide the database name. You'll have to go and mention how do you want to connect to this particular data set. And these are inputs required for Power BI to connect to a database. Okay. If you go through a Oracle connection, let's just do that once. If you want to go through an Oracle database connection, let's just do that. You'll see that there are going to be some sort of client and other things installed. If you don't have it, Power BI will show you all these messages. It will link you to a documentation page from where you can download this additional component and you can install it. Okay. And if I just say, okay, you'll be seeing that, yes, it again requires a server name. Databases usually will be associated with a server name and all of that. You'll get to see all this particular detail again. And that's how you want to go through this information. So whenever you go through a particular, detail, you have to go ahead and pass those information so that Power BI can connect to it, and then it can establish a connection, read that information from the database or a file, and then give you the list of details that you can load it into Power BI. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and provide those details for the SQL Server environment that I have, server name and database name. Let's just do that. So if I go back, the database name is this one. Okay, this is my database name, HR database. That's what we are connecting to. And you're looking at the employees detail here, right? So this is what we have. Let's go ahead and connect to our HR database. So that is our database name. Simple name. I can type it, so I don't want to copy it. But if I go ahead and show you the server name, this is our server name. Okay, this is our server name. So let me copy on my server name from here. So let's just copy this, Control C, and I'll come back. I'll paste it here. So that is my server name. I'll go ahead and hit HR or write HR here. And that's going to be our database name. Simple database. Let's go ahead and connect to that. Now let's talk about the connectivity modes. Now we did not get this previously, but let's go ahead and do this here, because every time you connect to a database, we will have to go ahead and tell Power BI what is the connection that you want to establish. Is it a live connection, or is it an extract that you want to do of your data set and go through that? Okay. So that is what we are talking about here. The import connection is going to be the in-memory concept that we learned, yes, in the very first session. So you have your database or data set. We will be pulling the information into the Power BI tool. The Power BI tool will go ahead and create some compressed versions of the file, which means what? We are importing the data locally into our RAM, and then we are going to work with our information. Yes or no? So that is what is called as importing your data. That's our import connectivity mode. Okay. Now, the direct query mode is nothing but a live connection that you establish with your data set. Okay. So what is your live connection? You have again your database. You're connecting to the data in a live fashion, meaning what? Whenever you have some changes happening here in the database, the changes will also immediately reflect in your Power BI file. Okay. For example, I mean, I'm just going to give you an example of an application, but you can pretty much relate it to here. When you go and open a stock, website, your tickers, the symbols, the exchange related symbols, let's say Apple or Google, or in India, it's all TCS, Infosys, and all of those companies that you go and look at, the tickers, they're called tickers because they are ticking. Yes, they are going to be your, you know, price in real time when the market is all open, right? So you need to have a real time data there. When you want to go and look at something, if the price of the, stock is dropping, probably you're expecting the price to drop. You're looking at that on a real time. You want to purchase it, and that's what you go and do. So that's a real time situation, real time scenario, right? And that's what we call as a live data set, live information coming right in front of you. So if you want your reports to reflect the live or the updates and deletions in a insertion that is going on in your data set, any changes that is happening in your data set, if that is to be reflected, you can go with a live connection. You can go with a direct query as an option. That's an option that you have. But this option is limited to just 1 million row. So the way you want to go ahead and bring in is just you can load it 1 million rows inside this particular environment. You cannot load any further than that. If you have 7 years of information that you want to bring in, you'll have to roll it out. When I say roll up, meaning that if you have a daily transaction, make it as a weekly transaction. Roll it up on a weekly basis, summarize it on a weekly level, or probably a monthly level. It will reduce itself. And if you are having rows below 1 million, yes, you can load it. Okay. With an import connection, there is no limit to your data set. The RAM size is your limit. And like I said, when you're working with your laptop, it's going to be 8 GB RAM, 16 GB RAM, 32 GB RAM, something closer to that. If you're having good, nice capabilities, nice resources available, yes, you can use them. But if you don't have enough memory, start small you're coming up with a template and you want to go ahead and work on this particular template or a report. When you push it to the server, you can extend that particular data set's information to a huge or larger details. So that's always doable. Okay, getting my point? So that's our import connection, meaning that you are bringing the data locally to your environment and working with that. But if it is a live connection that you want to establish, you want to go with a direct query mode. Got it? This is what you want. All right, good. Now, let's go with the import connection, but I have a question before I move on. When we loaded all of these files and the tables from our files, yes, orders table, people table, and returns table, I never got an information whether it's an import connection or a direct query. Yes, we did not choose this option. So what are we doing here? Which connectivity mode is by default getting established? Anyone? Can anyone give me this answer? What is the connectivity mode when we went ahead and loaded the Excel file? Import mode. Yes, very good. Yes, very good. Thank you for that. So import mode is the mode that we were talking about. So when there is no mention of direct query or an import connection, it means it's by default import because that's how Power BI is going to handle it. And only for the databases, only when you're connecting to the databases, because database can be real time. Yeah. So your data can change in real time in your database. You can update your database constantly. You're talking about a transactional database, and there the transaction is happening, entries are happening on your database. So it can be a direct query here, and that's the reason we get to see connectivity mode listed here, an option listed here to go and get to these details. Yeah, I hope you're getting that. So that's the reason. So if you want to go with a live connection, yes, you can do that. Otherwise, you may go with your import connection. So we'll just stick to the import connection for now. Let's say okay here. And this was our first window where we are trying to give all the information for Power BI to connect to my server. Yes. And then we will go through the navigator window. We'll get to the navigator window, and you can see that it is listing all the tables here. What are we connecting to? We are connecting to the HR database here on my server, and we are interested in loading the employees table. So let's click on the employees table. Now, whenever you're loading things from your database, most of the time it's going to be looking good. So there is no issue with my data. This is going to just look good. So I don't want to go ahead and validate it, but you can always scan through this information, go through that and try to load it into Power BI. Okay. So employees table, that's what I want to load. You can check multiple tables. You can load it. That's all fine. In your database, we call this as relational database management system, right? So you'll have some tables. You'll have your primary key and foreign key kind of a relationship. Yes. So when that is happening, these tables are already related on a database level. And if you want to go and say, for example, load all the related tables, there is an option that says, hey, go and select the related tables. So for example, I check employees table. And if I were to go and load all the related table, for example, the employee will be part of a department. Yes. The employee will have a dependent. Yes, if I'm working in an organization, let's say I'm not married, then my parents are my dependents. If I'm married, then it's going to be my wife, my children, all of them are my dependents. Simple as that. So dependent details is also there. The employee may apply for some jobs internally within the organization. So jobs may be one of the different details. So for the employee table alone, we may have some relations between different tables. So if I were to go kind of load all the related information, so I can just check this box or click on this button, select related tables, and look at that. Power BI has understood that, and it is giving you all the related tables that you can go load for the employees table. Simple. Okay. Because I started off with a checkbox there, and we are just looking at the related details of the employees, and that's all coming up here. So it's up to you how you want to go do this. So along with this, the relationships will also be imported as we progress through the course. I'll tell you where is this option, why is Power BI doing all of this. So you will understand all of that, and that's how things are going to be. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and load all these four tables if you want. Let's go ahead and just say load, and those four tables will be loaded into Power BI. It will establish a connection between these tables. Power BI will automatically start doing it. So there is a property that is by default enabled. I'll show you that when we go progress through the course. But if I go to the data model view, can you see this? What is this? This is your all the tables together. So this is your employees table, department table, dependence table, and jobs. So I think someone was asking in the previous session, will the relationship will be built by Power BI, or should this be manually done? There are two ways, like I said. This can be enabled by default. That's how things are configured inside Power BI environment. So it's by default enabled. Otherwise, you can choose not to let the tool, give you all this relationship. You can build it yourself if you know, and if you want to really create that relationship, you can do it manually as well. So those are the ways in which I want you to go and look at this detail. And look at this, the orders and people table is also related because there is a region column here. There is a region column somewhere down the line. Yes. So those are the columns basis which the relationship is getting created. So the tool is going to automatically identify and load all that information. So that is how we want to understand it. All right. So yeah, these are the ways in which you can go load the data. I've just covered two things right now. We have connected to an Excel file. Yes, we have connected to a SQL Server environment. We'll go ahead and talk about in the next session how to work with an online database, probably some data on the website that is available. I can just go ahead and show you that, or we'll connect to a Snowflake or an Azure kind of an environment. Okay, let's do a Snowflake because it's easy for me to set up. I'll go ahead and show you how to do that as well. And I'll give you all the steps to go ahead and work on those details. Okay, so yes, that's what we will do. And those are coming up in the next session. I think we are already over time. So let me wrap it up here. We just talked about loading the data from a SQL Server, Excel database. We'll connect to the databases, more databases in some time. You'll understand how this is all done. And like I said, the first step is also the same. I mean, it's going to be slightly different, but it's mandatory. And the second step onwards is the same navigator window that you'll get. We'll go and load the data and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's how things are. So yeah, let's just keep it simple for now. As we progress, we'll understand more and more details. We'll go through them. Okay, I want to conclude it here, but any last minute questions? If you want to ask any questions, let me know. You can post your number in the chat box. My team was looking for that. So if you want to enroll for this course, do let me know. We'll just go ahead and take it forward. Yes, let's try that. Any questions otherwise?
Hi,
Yes.
I'm Mr.
Yeah.
Uh, like I just wanted to ask regarding the cloud-based virtual machines used for the access of Power BI, like how
Mhm.
to get the details for that.
The virtual machine that you want to set up? Yes.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. I'll share a link. Probably. Let me just search for YouTube. Okay. Let me just do that. I may pick up a better one. Maybe I'll share that in the next session if you don't mind. But let me
Okay,
just see. Virtual machine in Google Cloud. Google Cloud is the easiest one. Okay, I wanted to set that up on the Google Cloud. So yeah, I'll just give you this link. This is a good one. You can just set up a basic machine where you can install Power BI and you can go
mm-hmm.
through that. Okay, and that will come
Okay,
up with some credits. Okay, you'll get $200 credit, and that credit is more
okay,
than enough for you to consume it for 1 year from now. So for the
okay.
entire year with a basic machine, you should be able to work on it. Let me just go
Mm-hmm.
through this once. Just hold on. So I'm just going to do this.
Okay,
Yeah. So I think this is, yeah, something that you can do. Or I'll give you a better option. You don't have to do all of this. There are a lot of codings and other things involved. But let me just go through that. I'll share that with you after the session. So yes,
okay.
I'll just do that. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. But you can just explore this, content on YouTube. Just see if you can find a video that is simpler to go through, and you can always do that. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
I have a quick question. So,
Yep.
currently, we're learning BI, right? Power
Mm-hmm.
BI. So, can we relate the same thing with Tableau? Because if I look at the job market currently, people are looking for different, like, uh, reporting tools. So, sometimes they include Tableau, or sometimes they
Mm-hmm.
include Power BI. So, I just
Yeah.
wanted to keep my resume versatile. I'm
Yes.
currently a ETL QA tester.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to see my options here to if I want to continue with this course or like actually take only Tableau or what. Just wanted to understand.
Okay. So Tableau is again a very similar tool. Let me just open the Tableau environment here, but the things are going to be little different. Okay. And there are some simple, small concepts that can be slightly different, but I would say it's pretty much the same kind of a tool. So for example, let me just bring up Tableau here, and I'll just go with a simple data set here. Okay, so let's just go with our same old, sample superstore file. I'll just go ahead and load that. The way this interface works is it's slightly different from what we have in Power BI. It's more like a drag and drop report builder, and this is going to be slightly different. Okay, so for example, let's just do state-wise. Let's just do this state-wise sales. If I were to go do all of this, I have to drag and drop this. So interface-wise, it's slightly different. It is also being approached from a different perspective, but it's a simple tool to learn. If you just look at some videos and other things, you can understand what's going on. So you will have all of these things. And if you want to just give different bars, different colors, we pretty much do the same thing in Power BI, but this is going to be slightly little different here. So you have to go and drag and drop a few things on different sections here to get that done. And also the calculation, there are some calculations that you go and create. These calculations are pretty similar to your Excel calculation. All right. Very similar to your Excel calculation, simple sum function, average, min, max, and all of that. So it's pretty easy to relate if you know Excel. That's again something that you can kind of note. But this does not give you, kind of a ETL environment like Power BI. It has a rich ETL environment, but this is going to be lagging that ETL capability. So there are some differences, but if you can just, go through some videos, you'll definitely go and kind of understand this. We also have a Tableau course here. So just see if you can look at the course content and go through those details online, or probably enroll for our course. That's also fine. The only concept that differs here is, you have sheets that we create, or these are going to be, let's say I call this as a bar chart. Okay, I call this as a bar chart, and let's create one more particular sheet here, where I'm just going to go ahead and do a region wise, let's just do a region wise sales, and I want to do a pie chart. Okay, let's just do a pie chart here. This is our pie chart, and let's just go have it. Now, the concept here is going to be slightly different. And what we talk about here inside Tableau is, let's just give it a name. I'll just say pie chart. Now, within Tableau, this entire workbook is not called as a report. Okay. And you will have to create sheets, and every individual sheets can have only one particular visualization. Don't mind me explaining all of this, because just wanted to give you some small highlights here and there. Okay. Now, the way dashboard works is you create multiple sheets like this, and every sheet can have one chart at a time. All right. And a dashboard is nothing but a combination of all of these sheets together. So for example, I can use this icon, the second icon here, to create a dashboard. Yes. So if I go to a dashboard, you can take the bar chart, you can take the pie chart, and you can create a dashboard out of it. So this is what is called as a dashboard. Now, this concept is going to be different completely in Power BI. So yes, 90% of the concepts, you can relate it here and there. You can compare it and easily learn Tableau. But what I'm saying here is, a few concepts here and there are kind of completely different. That 10% of a difference is there. And if you can just kind of understand that, that would be easier for you to go ahead and work or relate. And yes, can be, easy to learn these tools. That's what I wanted to go ahead and point out. Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions, anyone? Okay. So if no questions, I think we'll wrap up here, and we'll go through the details. Not tomorrow. We are having festive season here. So we'll just go ahead and talk about this on Wednesday. So we'll connect back on Wednesday. Any questions? Yes, please.
Can we do the SPSS analysis tools in this BI? Statistical packet analysis tools? Like
Okay.
example, ANOVA, like an Apple predictive analysis, like example, we can do the predictive analysis, forecasting analysis, like t-test, z-test, like this analysis, can we do it in this?
No, because I think you can do that in Excel, but not here. We can do a
Okay.
simple forecasting. You can just probably have some forecasting and other things, but not too many
Yeah.
statistical, analysis can be
Analysis.
done here. Yeah.
What about the financial analysis like NPV, data analysis that is we are going to do the project
Yeah, you can
analysis?
try that. I mean, there
Yeah.
are some financial functions available. If you want to go through those functions, there is this link here. I can just
Okay.
provide it to you. And this is where we use a lot of functions to go and derive some DAX based details. So if you go through the financial functions, and I don't think
Okay.
it's going to be too much, but if there is something that you want out of this list, then yes, pretty much that is something that we can do. But
Okay.
I don't think, apart from this, we can do any analysis on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
SPSS tools we cannot link with this BI. SPSS
No, can
tools,
you just name it?
regression analysis like
No, I don't think so.
ANOVA test, like
No.
this
So they
analysis we
are
can.
they are there in Excel. I know that you can do that in Excel, but not in
But
Power BI.
Excel is the only limited we have a tools there.
Yeah.
But SPSS we are having a lot of tools in the
Correct.
SPSS. Yeah. So
So,
that
yeah, I want to answer it in this fashion. Now, what
okay.
this tool does is, this tool tells you what is there in the data, and
Okay.
the things that you're talking about is all about, predictions and analysis and
Yeah,
algorithms
research
on top of
analysis
it.
because
Yes,
it is type of research tools we are using
correct,
that.
correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So that we cannot do. We will have to rely on some other tools. Yes, but this
Okay.
is not a tool to go for those analysis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the uses of Power BI? Can you tell me that?
I mean, no, the predictive, and I mean, this is all limited. I'm not going to give you too much of a hype here. So it is all limited. You can do some basic format forecasting, and there are some AI based visuals. So there are some visuals like, key influencers and decomposition tree. You can ask some questions like ChatGPT to this one. So there is a Q&A visual and some lot of details like that. But these things are all limited and limited to a data visualization perspective, not an analysis or predictive perspective. So you cannot further analyze it. That's how this is set up. Yes.
Can it is used for the business analytics and Power BI is same or different with this?
I mean, the implementation is on a BI level,
Yeah.
analysis level, but not like the statistical tools. It cannot
No,
perform
no,
those.
I'm talking of business analytics. It is BI is used for the business analytics
Yes,
tools.
yes, it is used for that. Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank
Yeah,
you, sir. Thank you so much.
no problem. Yeah. Any questions otherwise? Okay, so yeah, let's see how many real-time world projects you cover in the course and which domain. So at the end of this course, we will go through 4 capstone projects. Okay, and the first one is going to be on a sales data. The second one is a customer analysis. The third one is a financial domain, and the fourth one is going to be on some sort of I'm not really sure. I don't really recall it, but it's going to be on some other domain, probably insurance or banking domain. That's how it is all set up. So yeah, those are the different things that we will work on. And these are going to be really some nice ones to go with. So yeah, just letting you know. How big is the project? How many reacts? Yeah, we will use everything that we learn in the projects. So the data set is going to be a few 100,000 records. Okay, so that is what we have. And you may want to come up with your own analysis, your own charts and graphs. The very first project is going to be like a spoon feeding to you. I'll go ahead and talk about how to create it, what steps, what DAX you have to create, how to do the data modeling. So it's going to be like a step-by-step instruction given to you. But second project onwards, you are going to use your own imagination, your own analytical thinking comes into play. Yes. So you'll have to solve those problems and come up with your own report. So everyone will have different variations of, the reports coming out. I want to see that and I want to just kind of comment on it and the do's and don'ts of certain things. So that's how things are going to progress. And yeah, that's how it is. So it's going to take a lot of time for you, like about 10-15 hours of your input is required there. But yeah, that's how it is all set up. Thanks. Okay, anything else, anyone?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
so that I'm working in an hospital.
Mm-hmm.
What we are going to learn here only how we are going to visualize our data, that thing, or any other something more than that.
So
Second.
yeah, the how part is what we are going to cover at the overall, but there is also going to be, a lot of issues with your data. We'll have to go and see how to bring the data together, bring it into one cohesive, environment, and then work with that data. So there is a lot of data related preparation work that I have to do before I can jump to the how part. So yes, what is your data telling you? You may have a raw data, it's an Excel file or a database. It can be your medical related information. So what is your tables telling you? And we will go and say, what is data telling me? What and how part is what we will go and cover. Yes, mostly that's what is going to be. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else, anyone? All right. So if there are no questions, I think we can wrap up. We'll connect back on Wednesday. Tomorrow is a festive season here in India. So yes, we'll just go do that. Yeah. So the course detail is in our website. So let me just put it here. Yeah. And we will wrap up our session. So we can just go to Raj Cloud Technologies and Power BI training. This is our link. So go through these details here and it should be, giving you the question. So you will have the number there in our screen. So go, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to me through my team, or you can clarify your questions in your along with my team. So just let me know, and if you have anything, yeah, we can do that. Can you place that link? Yeah, I'll just paste it here. Let me just do that. Yes, this is our link. Yes, go through that and it will have the entire course content here. So the course curriculum and everything is given in our website. You can go through that. If you need anything to be added or removed from this, yeah, please feel free to, let me know and we will just go do that. This is how we'll go through all of these details and it's all available here. Reach out to my team using this number, and just if you want some more details on the course, you can ask for them for my number, and you can reach out to me and we can have a discussion and clarify all the questions that you have. Okay, good. All right, I think that should be it for today. Then we'll connect back on Wednesday, like I said, same time, 7 p.m. IST, and we'll go through the other details. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time.
Thank you,
We'll
sir.
connect back on Wednesday. Thank you. Bye bye. See you.
Yeah.